Welcome to the Lezlie Show. We're going to have so much fun today. Our special guest today is Kristina Santiago, and she is the Director of Operations for the girls basketball at Cal Poly. She's also played professional basketball for the past 5 years. Let's give a special welcome to Kristina.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It's so good to have you on the show.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, I wanted to start out by telling you that I have a couple friends, Cameron and Hunter Walker, and I've known them since they were little kids, and they sit in these little baby chairs, and at 2 and 3 years old, they already knew how to play basketball. They'd start naming all the names of the big players. They knew everything you could know, and I thought, my gosh, they're like 2 or 3 years old, and they know everything about basketball, and as it turns out, they became professional basketball players. So my question to you is, did you know at a young age that you wanted to play basketball?
Actually, at a young age, I wanted to play soccer.
Oh, soccer?
Yeah, I was super into soccer. I was really good at it. Mia Hamm was like my idol. I wanted to be her. And then I got to an age where I wanted to be everything my brother was, my older brother and my dad. And so he was playing basketball and he was really good. And all of a sudden I just got to this stage where I wanted to be like my brother. So then I switched over to basketball. All of a sudden, kind of out of nowhere, I started growing and I was really good at it. So then that's about when I knew, probably around 5th grade was when I was like, okay, now I want to be a basketball player.
So you started out already in grammar school knowing what you wanted to do.
Yeah, it was still pretty early, but not as early as Cameron and Hunter.
Okay. And so did you play at Rigetti, or what high schools did you?
Yeah, I played at Rigetti. Went to Orcutt Junior High and then Rigetti High School, and then from there I went to Cal Poly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what does it take to be a professional basketball player? I mean, I'm thinking you must need to have the X factor, right? And so I guess my question is, what is the X factor to being a professional basketball player? Because I know a lot of people want to do that, and everybody doesn't make it.
Yeah. So let's see. The first thing is skill. You have to have the right skills. Whether that's, a lot of people have like natural talent. For most, and I would say even people with natural talent, you also need to develop a lot of skills along the way, which comes to the next point is you have to have a lot of discipline, and you have to be willing to sacrifice a lot, including your body. There's a lot of injuries, you put in a lot of work, relationships and friendships, and you spend so much time dedicated to the sport and to getting better. I think that's really what separates people that, want to play professional, and then people that really are driven and know that that's what they want to do, is they really dedicate themselves and they sacrifice everything else, going to birthday parties when you're young, taking weekend vacations, I was always at the gym or at basketball tournaments, and there was a lot of sacrifice, and it wasn't always fun, but it was definitely necessary to get to where I wanted to be.
Well, what were some of the obstacles that you encountered? Like I'm thinking that with a lot of things in life, which I've noticed with people, is once the obstacles come, they're like, I'm not going to keep doing this, they're out. And I would say most people quit at a certain point, but yet you have the tenacity to keep staying with it. What kept you staying with it, and what were some of the obstacles that you encountered?
Definitely the biggest obstacles were injuries.
Oh.
Yeah, from high school, I tore my ACL, which is a pretty big knee injury. It's about a year recovery. So that was my first one that kind of hindered me a little in the recruiting process to go to a big college. Luckily, I still got a Division I scholarship, and then I got re-injured again, my other knee, in college.
Oh.
So that was my second big ACL knee injury, which hindered me a little in the professional world. But I still got a contract, I still went and played, and then I actually got injured again for a third time. This is over a 10-year span, a third ACL playing professional. But so those were pretty big obstacles. I had little knee surgeries in between to kind of help clean up things, but definitely very big obstacles. But I think, like you said, a lot of people it's a really hard recovery to come back from. So a lot of people will call it quits after that, and they don't want to go through the pain. And, it's a really long, tedious process to come back from. And it's not fun. It's really hard mentally, physically. For me, I just knew that's what I wanted to do. That's, what I loved. That's what made me happy. So if I had to go through a year of, being miserable and not being able to play and, having to do all this rehab, then I was going to do it because that's what I wanted to do. That's what I loved. I loved basketball, and, I was so good at it, and I wanted to get better and recover. So yeah, I think that's the difference. A lot of people will get injured and they want to stop, like you said. But for me, there was nothing inside of me that said stop. I was just go, go, go
you're like,
all the time.
Failure is not an option, right?
Yeah, totally. There was no stopping in me.
Well, how are your knees now? Have your knees completely recovered, or do you still have a little bit of an issue there?
I think there'll always be a little bit of an issue when you have that many tears, and they're pulling all the different body parts using for the ligament, and I think there's always going to be a little bit of issue. Definitely manageable though, and that's something again that I take a lot of pride in is continuing my rehab. Even right now, I'm not playing, but I still like to keep my body in shape and healthy. So, working on strength stuff and still being able to do things because, if someone wants to challenge me one-on-one, I need to be able to go play them.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, you did 5 years of professional basketball, so you've traveled, was it Switzerland you played, or what were some of the countries that you played in? Yeah,
so I went to Bulgaria my first year. Then I went to Israel my second year, decided to go back to Bulgaria, spent another 2 years there. And then I went to Switzerland for 2 years after that. And within all the countries, we traveled all throughout Europe and we played other teams and we got to see so many countries in Europe. It was so much fun.
Oh my goodness. And what were the people like in Europe? Do you feel like people are the same wherever you go, or?
Oh, no.
No? No? Okay, well,
no
this
way.
is interesting. Tell me about that now.
Yeah, so first I was in Eastern Europe, which, not too long ago, if you think about it, they were, communist, and it was very different over there. So you kind of notice a little more harshness about people, but still so much love and passion. But when they say things to you, it's very straight up and harsh, and it's a lot more real in a way. It's not so like sugar coated. And I think some of that comes with the language barrier too. Just people trying to speak English and you trying to speak another language, but. It definitely has a bit of a colder feel, but once you get to know them and once you're accepted, they will do anything in the world for you. And they were just the most awesome people you can imagine, and warm-hearted and welcoming, and had us Americans over for dinner all the time, and just amazing people. But definitely in the beginning it was harder because it was a little more cold and a little more standoffish than I was used to, growing up here on the Central Coast. We're so used to everyone saying hi and greeting you and, being so friendly. So that was definitely different. Israel was pretty friendly for the most part. Israel's a very different country. Almost everyone's walking around with these big weapons, and everyone's in the army, and, it's a little intimidating at first, but the people are great, super nice. And Switzerland's the same. The people are a lot more calm. Bulgaria, they were very loud and rowdy. In Switzerland, they were very calm and a little more shy, very sweet, really nice people. But definitely a big difference everywhere I went. And even places we traveled, every country is so different.
And so did you have American friends with you, or did you go all by yourself to these different countries where you didn't really know anybody?
I didn't know anyone.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so almost every team will have around 2 Americans. So my first year I got lucky, and one of the Americans I played with on my team, we had played on a USA team together in China. So we got to know each other a little bit before, and she ended up being one of my best friends after that year. But it was nice going into it, kind of knowing each other. But for the most part, whenever I go over there, I'm just going blind. And, you know, you're on this airplane flying over there on a 15-hour flight, and you're just like, I have no idea who's picking me up. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know who I'm living with. But, you know, it's kind of, it's an adventure. It's a little bit nerve-wracking. My first year, I was really nervous. And then, you know, by my 5th year, I'm just like, here we go again. We're going to meet some cool people. And, it's just, you kind of get used to it like anything.
Wow, that sounds neat, though. I would imagine, though, you have to be really strong physically and mentally, just as strong as you are physically.
Oh, totally,
right?
Totally. Well, it's not easy. A lot of people, like, I guess the most common comments I will get from people are, wow, you're living the dream. That's like paradise. You get to go play basketball and, you know, just hang out. And I always tell people, like, yeah, it is. It really is my dream. And it's an amazing job to be getting paid to play basketball, but it's also a very lonely life. And I think people don't realize that when you go by yourself to a foreign country and you don't know anyone, the time difference, you don't get to talk to your family, your friends, and it definitely takes a toll on like social life and relationships back home. So it's definitely, you have more downtime. Like when you're in college, you go to class and then you have your trainers and your rehab and all this other things that fill up your day. But when you're overseas, it's like you go to practice for 2 hours and then you have the rest of the day and you're like, okay, do I travel? No, I'm too tired to travel. No, I'm too tired for this. And, you have to kind of find a balance. But it is not as easy and glamorous as everyone thinks it is.
I know, I kind of I relate that to like movie stars. People think, oh, they're movie stars. But when you really look at the lives of movie stars, a lot of them get into drugs and get into alcohol and they get into deep depression because they're used to always being at the top. And then once they're no longer this person, they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Which brings me to another question. How do you deal with it if you don't always win the game? Are you able to just kind of go, okay, you don't win all the games, I'm still in a good mood, or do you kind of get depressed, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's definitely, well, for me, personally, I guess I can't speak for everyone, but for me personally, I'm such a competitor, and I like to think I'm just a winner at heart. Like, I love to win. So when my team loses, if I don't have a good game, I take it really hard upon myself. So usually that means getting into the gym the next day and just going at it and working harder. And whether it means, calling the team together, having a team meeting, what did we do wrong? How did we lose this team? We need to fix it. Trying to be like a leader on the team in that way, and then, taking it upon myself to fix it, because, every team, basketball is an amazing sport because every team has an opportunity. You step on that court, the score is 0-0, and a lot of the game is heart. It's how hard you play and how much heart you can leave on that floor. Of course, athletic ability comes into play, and sometimes there's just a team that's going to be more athletic and better than you. But I think if you play with more heart than the other team, you're going to have a good shot of winning. So, I take it very personal when a team loses, when my team loses, and I definitely try and fix that, and a lot of highs and lows. Okay. Like you said, it's good when you're good, it's really bad when you're not winning, and you try and find a balance and mentally stay in the middle somewhere, but it's hard as a competitor to, you always want to win.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So what are you doing now? I was thinking that you're doing some coaching now, or?
Yeah, so right now, this year, I just got a job at Cal Poly, so I'm working with the women's basketball team as the director of operations. So this is like a whole new aspect of the game for me. I'm used to coaching. I coached a lot throughout my career, individually, teams. I love coaching, but this job is more behind the scenes work. So it's kind of like operations of the team, all the extra stuff, travel, gear, you name it, food, whatever it is, organizing and scheduling. So for me, it's really good because I honestly appreciate everything everyone's done for me so much more, because now I'm doing all of it and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work, a lot of time put in behind behind this job so that the girls' lives can be so much easier. And, I've been playing basketball my whole life, and I never realized how much work goes into it behind the scenes, just to make the girls and me, when I was playing, our lives easier. So I really appreciate the game a lot more, and I appreciate my job and the people that have done my job. It's definitely a very good stepping stone in my career to learn all these things and then hopefully advance in the future to a coaching spot or something like that.
Okay, well, have you ever thought about playing professional basketball again, or are you happy with the coaching?
I think I will always be thinking about playing again. We have a child on the way, so after we have our baby, me and my husband both want to start training a little bit and see how our bodies take it. And we have some really good contacts overseas, so it's definitely something I would like to do. Maybe take our little girl and go overseas for a few years and kind of expose her to another language and another lifestyle. And I'm just such a fan of that now that I've traveled the world so much. I want my daughter to be able to experience those things. So yes, if I could play again and bring her with me and my husband, and that's definitely ideal. But it's also would be pretty difficult, so we'll see what happens. But so yes.
What is the age range for female basketball players?
Oh my gosh. I've played, I guess the oldest woman I've played against was 53.
53? My 53. Goodness, really?
And she was good.
That's inspirational, isn't it?
It is really inspirational. It kind of depends, because a lot of girls, like we were talking about, will go over there and just mentally can't handle it as well. It's a lot different than America. So I think that's one of the factors, is just, emotionally being away from everyone, different food, different language, different country, is really hard. And then also your body. A lot of girls, you have an injury and you don't want to deal with it anymore. You just kind of call it quits and find a new career. But I would say around probably late 20s.
Is the average age?
I think so. Maybe around 30.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe late 20s to 30. But there's definitely, I've played with a lot of girls that are, from the age of like 16 on our team. Oh. And then the oldest I've played with, I think was 36.
Okay.
So, yeah, but like I said, I played against a lady that was 53, and she was awesome. I mean, she didn't move as well, I'm sure, as her prime, but it is very inspirational. It's pretty cool to see.
Well, I think for you, the sky's the limit, because you've got the tenacity, which I think is something that's really important. And it looks like you take really good care of your body, so why not? Who knows? You might be 60 and still playing.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? I've always
possible.
Thought these people say, "Oh, I'm too old to do this and do that," and I've always thought it's more like heart and spirit and passion. If you've got that, you've got a lot going for yourself.
Definitely.
So, and your husband, he's a basketball player as well, right?
Yeah, he played at Cal Poly also. We didn't overlap. He's younger than me. But when he wanted to go play overseas, I was playing overseas. So that's kind of where we connected. And we actually started training together, and I was teaching him. There's a lot of differences in the American and European game.
Oh.
So a lot of footwork, little stuff, but stuff that makes a big difference. So we actually started training together, and I was teaching him some different moves, European stuff, and that's really how we reconnected and started dating. So yeah, it was really neat to be able to go overseas together, and we were only about 4 hours apart. I was in Switzerland and he was in Germany, and yeah, it was nice. So we got to see each other pretty often, and yeah, it worked out well.
I would think that it would be important to have a mate that is into basketball, because if one is and one isn't, they'd probably think, I'm not getting enough attention. But if that's your calling too, you'd understand your spouse, because you come from the same blood. You both enjoy it, and this takes tenacity, takes time, and you understand each other better that way.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a lifestyle, and for I don't want to say non-basketball, non-athletic people maybe don't understand it as much. So it would definitely be harder. I shouldn't say athletic. I should say not professional athletes. It's hard because your whole life, your whole day is based around the sport. So if it's someone that doesn't understand that, they could, like you said, get jealous or not understand it or need more attention. And, we definitely both understood that, we needed to do well in our sports. It was our career. That's how we get paid. So, it's really nice being with someone that understands that lifestyle.
Exactly. And now you're having a baby, you said, and your baby is due when?
In March, late March.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And you're having a boy or a girl?
A girl.
Awesome.
Yeah, little mini me.
And I would think that she would be a basketball player too. Usually it kind of runs in the blood, especially with your husband being a basketball player. So. Yeah,
we'll see. Maybe basketball, volleyball, anything, the tall girls are good at, because I'm sure she'll be a tall one.
I'm sure she will too, especially if your husband's tall.
He's very tall, 6'9".
6'9". Oh my gosh.
He makes me look short. So.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything more you'd like to add to our conversation today before we close out?
Oh, let's see. No, I guess that pretty much covered it. That was fun.
Okay.
That was nice to talk about.
Well, gee, it's been really special having you on the show today, and I'm going to be looking forward to hearing all about you.
Yay.
And hopefully seeing your baby.
I know, yeah. She'll be running around with the basketball in her hand, I'm sure.
That's cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, thank you for joining us at the Lezlie Show. Hope you had as much fun as I did. But I do want to invite you to another wonderful show. The Orcutt Community Theater is having a play on January 13th and 14th at Rigetti High School. And we are performing at 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock. So please come out and support the new young artists of Orcutt, California. All right, have a great day, and don't let anybody take your mojo. Woo! Bye!